How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addictions. We have Sentinels back on the channel with us tonight. He can say his name, what he does in the band.
What's up, y'all? I'm Dave. I play drums and also do vocals in Sentinels. Pleasure to be back, my friend.
There we go. Well, it's been a long time coming, Dave. I couldn't even remember the last time. I know we did the last interview in Asbury, and that was a hella long time ago. But
That's right, yeah.
it was cool. At the time, I can't remember if you guys had been signed or not to Sharptone. So there's a lot of stuff that I believe happened after we had that conversation. There's just a bunch of stuff that happened. Also, I want to plug this as well. I got the vinyl. So I want to let you know that this thing took an absolute fucking beating, but
oh my god,
but
that
it's
sucks.
It's all in one piece though, so that's what matters.
Oh, that crushes my heart to see, man. Damn. Well, does it still work though? Does it work all right?
That was the first thing that I did when I moved in here, was like, because I got it like the last day I moved out, and it was like the box was obliterated, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, what album did I buy? And like, I hear horror stories all the time about like vinyl getting crushed, and I was like, I hope it's like something that, like, I'm not gonna say that I don't like, but I was just like, maybe it might be like, you know, something that like isn't really as important. And I opened up the box, and it was like this, and I was like, oh god,
fuck.
oh no, I'm like, this can't happen. And then I like took it out, and I was just like, I swear to god, like, if the actual vinyl is like messed up, but it's completely fine. So I was like,
that's a relief, like, the part that matters. But yeah, I mean, that still sucks. It's disappointing. I wonder, I don't know, maybe some places, I guess, need to like prioritize putting like fragile stickers all over that shit.
Oh, 100%.
Like, hey, this is not something to mess around with. But hell, I've sent stuff out with fragile stickers all over it, like vinyl specifically.
Oh yeah.
And people have still been like, this has got a little messed up. I'm like, I'm sorry. I did everything that I possibly could, like, once it leaves my hands. So
yeah, once it's out, you know. But speaking on that term too, because I keep bringing it out, but you also released a new album too, which you could talk about. Like I said, I don't remember how much information we divulged, but I do remember. I don't think you guys were signed. I think you had just released Unsound Recollections, and I don't believe you were signed at that point. So how did that kind of come to be, where you guys met, you know, talked it out with Sharptone?
Yeah, we were signed at the time. We were signed to a smaller label that, you know, doesn't even need to be mentioned. I mean, they're terrible, and you know, they know it, so it's fine.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, partially throwing shade, but I mean, anybody who knows the people affiliated with that label, then yeah, they would say the same thing. It's like we almost have like a group therapy thing about it.
Fair
because
enough.
You know, we're all like, oh yeah, they fucked me in this way, and oh, they fucked you that way. That sucks, but. So I mean, I really don't even care anymore. You know, it's out there. It's not like a secret. But yeah. So that was Unsound Recollections was released through our previous record label.
Correct.
And the last time that we saw each other at that show in Asbury, we weren't we never expected Sharptone to come our way. So that was just a couple months later, actually, because we were we were somewhat on the outs with the previous label at the time. So, you know, we only really had to release that record on Sound Recollections, and then after that we were kind of free to go. And luckily our managers were in the right place at the right time, like playing our music for Sirius XM, trying to like pitch some of the, like, yeah, our managers like were pitching like our music. I think Kubla Khan, because we're also managed by the same people, so they were throwing out a bunch of their bands, trying to get them some airplay on Sirius. And our label rep was there at the time, and she heard our stuff, and she asked like, who are these guys, like, and immediately saw interest, and they kind of shifted their intentions from pitching bands to Sirius to getting us signed to Sharptone. And then from how I remember it, it was just within a week from us being told about that to having a deal like presented to us, like an initial deal. And I was like, holy shit. So yeah, and it was wild because, you know, Sharptone's an incredible label. They are night and fucking day different from the previous label, and you know, it's the label that we always wanted to pretty much be signed to ever since they announced themselves and made themselves a thing, because we saw that, you know, there was a great market, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like tons of bands that already had pre-existing followings, and then a bunch of new bands that were gonna, you know, start doing big things like Currents. Currents is one of the
Yeah,
new
yeah,
bands
yeah.
that they signed, and look at them now. They're, you know, just as big, if not bigger, than some of those bands that they had signed previously. So it's really amazing, and I'm very honored to be a part of that. You know.
Yeah, and you guys have been getting some like really insane tour offerings as well recently. Like you guys are going to Europe, which again, kudos. That's so fucking
Thank
sick.
you.
And like for me, as again knowing you guys from pretty early on, like it's such a cool feeling to know that like you know the dedication you put into what you do can pay dividends, and I'm glad you guys are gonna just like absolutely smash it. I know you guys have been, you know, overseas before, but on a tour package that arguably might, I would say arguably might be tour of the year next year, because it's such a
That's what I was saying. I was like, damn, this might be this might be, you know, European metalcore tour of the year. Who
oh,
knows? But yeah,
100%. Like
I
low
was.
key, high key. I'm like, man, gotta get that passport updated. Might be, you know, might have to
Oh
take a
yeah,
vacation. You know.
right. I had just gotten my passport updated like right before that last tour. So
Mm-hmm.
so it was like perfect timing. I'm like, damn, I'm good to go for any tour now. But yeah, it's crazy, and thank you for what you said. I mean, it means a lot, and I still can barely believe that tour's happening. You know, when we were even in talks about it, I was like, yeah, we'll see what happens. You know, and you know, not that it, I guess it helps, but it's not always like a factor
Yeah,
usually.
yeah, yeah.
But you know, myself and Josh, our vocalist, we've been friends with JT from Era for a
Yeah,
number of
yeah,
years,
yeah.
like even long before he was in Era. So, you know, we had that good connection with him, and then I've also known Connor, their bass player, and then Alex, their Era's drummer for years now, just
Yeah,
from
yeah.
playing shows together and going to see them, like, you know, as like a local opener, and just a fan in general, because that band's amazing. So the fact that, you know, they considered us, and we're like, yeah, let's bring Sentinels along, was definitely a dream come true. I'm not too cool to say that shit or anything. Like, it's a very surreal opportunity. So to be going overseas with them especially is an honor.
Yeah, and I think that it's just like I said earlier, with the lineup being with like Invent Anime, Era, and then I'm blanking on the other bands. I know there's definitely one more band, and I
You know,
can't.
it's Era, Silent Planet, and
Silent
Invent
Planet.
Animate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are all bands that are doing some really great stuff. So if you haven't checked out any of them, you need to do so. More specifically, Sentinels, of course, because you're on here to listen to Sentinels. But yeah, I was like, as soon as that was announced, I was just like, listen, if there's any opportunity for me to like go overseas to go do this stuff, I'm gonna go do it. So I feel like if enough people bully me into going overseas, then I probably will wind up going over. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
dude. I mean,
turning 30 in the new year, and I know that you guys are playing Germany, I think, on
yeah,
March 1st. So I feel
a
like
lot of a
what a
lot of
way
Germany dates.
what a
Yeah,
way to spend a 30th,
definitely
you
do
know.
it.
So we'll have to see.
Absolutely, man.
Fingers crossed. But um you know, following up with that, I know that you guys also got a new vocalist during that time as well, Josh. Big shouts to Josh.
Mhm.
How did that kind of come to be? Because I don't think there was, at least from what my understanding was, there wasn't too much talked about. It's just kind of like, okay, we're doing this whole thing. We disappeared after, you know, Unsound Recollections, and then was like, okay, now we're doing a new album. We have a new vocalist. Like, there was a bunch of new stuff. We got signed. Like, it was just like, you know, new everything Sentinels, which is awesome. So like, how did you guys come across Josh, and you know, how did he kind of get into the band per se?
Well, it's kind of a cool segue. We were just talking about Era. Well, like I mentioned that, you know, Josh and I both knew JT for a
Mm-hmm.
number of years. So when we were in a rut looking for a vocalist in the studio, just starting to record Collapse,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, I was pretty desperate, and we were in a pinch, and this was just when quarantine and COVID was hitting the states, so
Mm-hmm.
lockdowns were getting really serious, and I was at home, and I hit up JT and just asked like, hey, um, do you know of any available vocalists who would want to join a progressive metalcore band? And he was like, oh, again? And I was like, uh-huh.
Aw.
And so he mentioned Josh's name, and I looked into it, and I sent him to the guys, and sure enough, like the co-engineer on our record, Aaron Shaparian, he had done like a song with him in the past or something, and so he also had mentioned him. So it's like now two people that we knew and trusted were mentioning him. So that's how it kind of came to be. And he was from Alabama, so we had to figure out like a good time that was like safe to take a flight during COVID and bring him into the studio where we already have lockdown drills and procedures. So we brought him in, and I think maybe a month or so went by. Like we sent him like all the roughs as soon as possible, like just to kind of listen to and see if it was something he was interested in. And then I had all the lyrics and vocal patterns written, so I was sending them to him as I was finished, like with like talk tracks essentially that I recorded at the studio with our producer. And then we just flew him in, and he just did the record and killed it.
Yeah, no, he sounded fantastic. Again, guys, you can go buy this. Hopefully it's not as crumbled up as mine is. I'm still gonna love it.
I'll
love it.
I'll help you. I'll help you with that. If you want a fresh one, they look like this. So here you go.
If you don't want it to look like this, hopefully it will not look like this.
Yeah, you could have that, or you can get this.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, exactly.
It should come like this. That's a mistake. Fuck that mail guy.
But
that guy's an asshole.
I gotta say, like, this, I don't even think I messaged you about it, Dave, but like, I have to say this was one of my favorite albums of last year. I just absolutely loved the fuck out of it. I think if my evaluation on the album, I think I had put it at, it was definitely top 5, like 100%. Like it was top 5 for me. And I just love, like, and it's, I've been going back to the gym recently, and it is arguably one of the best gym records you can put on. Like it's so you're just like, like, and you're listening to like Epitaph or something at like to start, and you're just like, God, like I could lift like this entire Planet Fitness if I felt like it, And so for me, that's been a cool way to kind of like re-listen to it again, because I had been listening to it, like I beat that album into the ground. Not this actual album, even though it does look like it's been beaten into the ground. I'm gonna keep making jokes about this album. If you're listening to this, you have to watch the video, and then it'll show you how beat the fuck up this album is. But
yeah, please. I love a good callback joke. So, yeah, bring it on.
But for me, it was like, I had listened to the album, loved it during that time period, kind of took a break, and then went back to the gym and was like, man, I really needed to listen to a heavy record. Then I was like, oh, of course, I got Sentinels on here. I got to listen to Sentinels. So then I put it on, and I'm like, bro, this is like such a great record to listen to, like sonically. Like if I sat here and I was listening to it on my record player, it's fantastic in that aspect. But then like it's so good like listening to it like, at the gym and just lifting some like fucking heavy weights. It's just the perfect mix of that. Which kind of segues into my next point, Dave. Like, I feel like you guys have found this perfect way of like having moments that are just like really heavy, and then obviously you have a lot of parts where it's like very technically proficient and like super like mind-boggling to me. How did you guys kind of find that middle ground of being like, we love to have something that's just like real, like super punchy, we don't have to do a lot of crazy shit to it, and then there's some parts where we're just like, listen, let's go hard. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do where we can get like the best like reaction face online of like our newest track?
I mean, I hate to say that like this really is a question for Chris, because this has
Sure.
all come from his brain. But you know, to sum it up the best I can, the kid just, he smokes a lot of weed, and and gets riffs in his head, and whatever comes to his head, you know, he finds a way to put it like in
Yeah.
like interpret it on guitar and put drums to it, and then you know, it kind of is just whatever comes to his mind, and it's an amalgam of his influences, my influences, Danny's. Like
Hmm.
it's really just a nice melting pot of everything we like in heavy music. We like technical stuff that makes us just, you know, crack up laughing because it's so ridiculous, but
Yeah.
then we also try to find a balance of, you know, making things sometimes a little bit more straightforward, or at least to our standards straightforward, because you know, yeah, like we are a pretty technical band, like in, you know,
Hmm.
by definition, but we never, I guess, intentionally do anything for a certain reaction, or uh, with an end goal in mind. It's just what we feel represents us at that time, and
Hmm.
nothing really gets by us all as a unit if we're not feeling it. If there's a collective agreement that, you know, this is the best of what we have right now, then that's going to make it, like, even out of Chris's bedroom to the studio, and then once it gets past the producers, you know, approval process, then that's what makes it onto tape, so to say.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's just a lot of you know, mixed elements of things that we're interested in. You know, from the technical side that just kind of bends your mind a bit, and then there's the dumb heavy parts, and then
Yeah.
you know, the ambience and the melodic atmospheric moments too, because we love all of that, and we that's what we really strived for the most on this record, was creating something atmospheric and something that really felt like a cohesive unit. Like if you were to remove one song or even add a song to this, you'd be fucking up the continuum.
I
And
agree. Yeah.
I'm really proud of how it all came together, because honestly, other than Epitaph and Atlas, like we knew that Epitaph was going to open the record and Atlas was going to close the record.
Wow. All right.
Everything else fell into place, just how our producer put it into the session, and we found a way to make it flow, and it just kind of started to flow that way, like with the interludes and the
Yeah.
ambience that like will trail off one song and then seamlessly go into the next, and it all just really worked out like dumb luck, and I couldn't be happier about it. I love the record, you know, it's everything that we had hoped to
Sure.
create, you know,
Yeah.
and it really was a matter of, you know, we got into the studio, and I said, like, I don't want to do a full length record until we have enough great material and something that is gonna really kind of, it's hard to put into words, but I really just wanted to make sure that our first full length record was going to be something special, you know, and
Yeah.
to me, like, sure, like, you know, I'm like one of the people behind it, but like I think we set out and did that, and the overall response was really positive, and you know, there are very few negative things that I've heard, and trust me, I read and I see stuff that's like a gut punch where I'm like, oof. But overall, I think, you know, people enjoy it, and that's really all that matters. And I'm glad that we could, you know, get our wacky asses to write something that, you know, a majority of people seem to enjoy.
Yeah, I feel like it's and I think I had talked about it, and I'll have to find the clip of what I exactly said when I talked about it live with shout outs to George of the band Poeta. We did like a live, like, talking about our favorite releases of the year. And I had said, I'm gonna paraphrase kind of what I said, but it was like the perfect mix of technicality but also brutality, where like, you have this emotive nature of like Josh, like just like going full raw and just like killing it, and then you have parts where like, where you're listening through some interludes and you have this real like melodic atmosphere that like just, if you had told me that the same band created those same sounds, like, and I didn't know them, I'd be like, there's no fucking way, right? But you guys integrate it so well where there is just these heavy elements where you're just like literally you can't help but just smile. Like when I first listened to it and I was like put it on in my car and I was listening through and I took like a long drive home, like I couldn't help but have like the biggest fucking grin on my face because I was just not like some of the stuff you can't expect. Like there was just like some drum fill or like some like breakdown part where you're just like how, like, and then you're just like, you know, throwing your hands up at this guy and the other guy that's like next to you in the car is just like, what the does this guy have like Tourette's or something, like whatever. And I think for me it was just cool because it's like, man, I didn't know how you guys were gonna one up Unsound Recollections, but for at least for me, like I was just like, you guys took what was already good and like somehow just like put it in the blender and put more shit in there and like spit out something like that much better. And I think people are gonna probably be like, man, why do you keep like doing this shit where you're like, you know, pumping these bands up? But I legitimately like was one of my favorites from last year. It's still an album that I fucking love and listen to very frequently. And I feel like if a band comes on and they're like, yo, this is like, if I'm listening to it and I've beat this fucking song, all of these songs into my head for as long as I've beaten them into and I still love them, I don't feel like there's anything else that you could say or do, because if a band can listen to it, and you can be well assured that bands just listen to their music a million and a half times, like over and over and over, for them to still be like, I think this is our best work, you know, to date. That's, I feel like that's a good selling point.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we definitely have listened to it, I think probably more than anybody else. You know, we sat on the record, you know, because you take into consideration you have the pre-pro files before they actually get to the studio that you're sitting on, and then you do pre-production with the producer beforehand to get rid of the crappy parts or make parts better.
Sure, yeah.
And then you go through the mixing stage and everything, and eventually you basically have listened to it 1,000 times to the point where part of you is like almost sick of it before it even comes out. And then you have to listen to it multiple times while you're shooting music videos. But, you know, even though, yeah, there's still that period where I'm like, oh, I'm sick of it, it's still, there was so much more music to really appreciate and listen back and be like, damn, you know, we did this.
Yeah.
And there was a lot more that I was excited for people to hear. Because even though, yes, we did release quite a bit of singles for this record, and that was suggestion from our label that, you know, when they presented it to us, we were like, yeah, you know what, honestly, whatever kind of gets people listening. And sure enough, us releasing more singles and being on people's radars more, it helped us get on Spotify playlists, which really helped a lot. So, you know, yeah, and I think like another goal when we made this was to make a record that can stand the test of time. And I hope that, you know, even a couple of years from now, people, like, let's say, like, not to get too dark, but like if the band ends or something, and then people can still be listening to that record years after or whatever, like then that is the ultimate goal, is that not only the art already is like immortal because it'll live on long past me or anybody else in the band, but the fact that people could still enjoy it later on in life is awesome. And I hope that, you know, people continue to enjoy this and not forget about it, because, you know, this record has done wonders for us already. And it's the reach that this record has had is far beyond anything else we've ever done before, you know, especially being on an actual legitimate label. That certainly helps. And
Certainly,
getting that out there, you know.
No, and you know, for me, it was cool just because, like, again, as being, you know, good friends with you and also being from New Jersey and knowing that how hard you guys have been pushing at it for years. Like, I remember the first interview we did, like, it kind of makes me harken back to some of those days when I originally started and how much, you know, not only specifically I've changed, but how much you guys have evolved and changed your sound over the years. And it's been cool, at least from the perspective of being your friend as well as, you know, being an interviewer. It's cool to see like the way that you guys have taken on the challenge of evolving as a band, and like I would have to agree this is your best work, and I could also argue the fact that this would stand the test of time, because I mean I've listened to it. I listened to it a butt ton amount of times, and then I'm probably still gonna listen to it because it's, you know, it's got such a great energy to it, and you know, there's some albums that I'll go back and listen to that I have like that I'll be like, man, this is such a like masterpiece, and I think this is like, I think this is like a great mix of, you know, mathcore, and there's some great metalcore moments, and just like even like maybe like a little bit of like melodicness. I mean, certainly melodicness in what you guys do. So I have faith that this will be up there in the echelon of, you know, progressive metalcore. But I know you did mention this, Dave, in regards to sitting on this for quite a bit. In terms of time frame, when did you guys record this? I did mention that Josh, you know, was trying to, you guys and Josh were trying to figure out how to get him into the studio to do this. So, you know, in terms of time frame, like how long of a time frame did this start from, like the initial, like, you know, inklings of like wanting to do the full length to, you know, obviously it came out last year, so it must have been a relief off of your guys' shoulders to have it finally out, certainly.
Oh yeah, I mean, Chris started writing stuff for this album, I think while we were still in the studio recording Unsound Recollections.
Wow. Okay.
That's
So wow.
it's very possible. It's either that or right after we left the studio. So Embers, I remember specifically, that was started at some point in 2018. And then Atlas is actually the oldest piece of material on there, or it contains some of Chris's oldest material, because he, and I mentioned this a couple times, like in other interviews or podcasts, where Chris had started that like kind of middle chunk of the song where it's like instrumental, and it's like a lot of airy tapping leads and whatnot.
Yeah.
He started that, and like he had sent me a video of like a Tux guitar file, which it's similar to like Tabit and Guitar Hero, or not Guitar Hero, Guitar Pro, Guitar Pro. So it's a similar program to that, like for tabbing out music.
Sure. Yeah.
He sent me that, and I had videos of that on my phone that he sent me from like 2016.
Whew.
So that was like even around the times of like World Divide, that EP, and then before Unsound Recollections. So like that chunk of music is, you know, 6 years old at this point, and he found a way when our music started getting more melodic and incorporating a lot more atmosphere to make that work. And it doesn't sound like something that, you know, he wrote when he was like 20 or 19 or something. The way that it progressed and became Atlas, you know, was very almost natural thing. He just stumbled across this old piece of gold and was like, oh dude, we can make this work. And I remember I was having a really particularly bad day, and Chris had sent me the video. He goes, hey, just so you know, I figured this would cheer you up, I'm working on this. And he sent me the video of like a new recording session he was doing, and that Atlas part was in there. I was like, holy shit. And I was so relieved about it. And so yeah, like those two tracks, they go back in time quite a bit. And then we went into the studio to start pre-production when we had like 13 songs or whatever. Like one of them just got completely scrapped because it was really bad, and none of us liked it, and it didn't flow with the rest of the album whatsoever.
Fair enough.
So we went into the studio February 2020 for just pre-production for like a week, and then we got pretty much everything kind of established. We even kind of continued it a little bit the first couple days of like tracking time. And so yeah, it was like late February, and then we got into the studio officially to start the record, like tracking it on like March 1st, and it was supposed to go just until March 30th or 31st. I can't remember what days have or what months have 30 and 31 days anymore. I'm fried.
It's all good. I got you.
Yeah, so it started like at that point, and then it, because of COVID, you know, and the restrictions and a lack of vocalists at the time, we like the studio time got extended, and like the deadline got, you know, kind of pushed back quite a bit. So we had all this time, and then we actually finished, I think, recording the album around late June or late July. So it was a long
Wow.
time. Yeah, because we had taken some time away from the studio to find Josh, make sure he was the right fit, and have him send us like demos of him tracking the vocal parts and be like, oh yeah, this works, this sounds good, let's bring him in. And then turned in the record, like the final mixed and mastered product, in September of 2020. And then we shot the video for Inertia in October, and then that got released in February of 2021. And then we had to we were going back and forth with the artist who was making the artwork and the layout for the record. And there was a lot of back and forth. Things were getting messed up or miscommunicated quite a bit. So you kind of cater a release around like when you can get the physicals done, and that was taking a long time too. Then we shot 2 more music videos, and then even before the album was officially announced, we had a talk with our label and our managers, and they were like, yeah, let's release 2 more singles so that you're kind of constantly in people's rotation.
Yeah.
People like have no choice but to hear about you. And so then that helped. And then finally, the record was announced for release of October of 2021. And it was a painful wait, man. 'Cause we turned in the record in September 2020, and then it wasn't released for a whole year and a month after that. It was a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's a process, it's like, it's like there's like budgets for everything, and this isn't really like top secret stuff, but other bands have talked about this, but yeah, there's a budget for the record, the music videos, the artwork, and all that stuff. So it's like once you hand in the product for one thing, it's like then like, all right, well, here's the money for this, and then you kind of go forth. It's like it's a process, so you can't really do everything at once all the time. Some bands can, and I don't know how, but it's just a different process. But hopefully we can do things a little differently next time to where, we don't have to deal with another fucking pandemic.
Fair enough.
But there's plenty of reasons. People thought we were just holding on to it for no reason at all. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Like, why would we hold our own shit ransom? Like, we already have it turned in. It's just everything else is taking forever because, certain people that we were working with were taking a while, and, they had other things going on, other clients. So it's difficult. There's a lot of moving parts that people don't understand.
Yeah, and I think and you got to respect that, right? Like, it was kind of similarly to like, I didn't know I was gonna get this record, right? And I got it. I got it apparently. But for me, it was like I wasn't really upset with that because I know vinyl production takes forever, and like especially again, we rehashed the pandemic, but it is true, like that shit pushed everything back for music, like, and so for
especially
me,
vinyl,
especially vinyl.
Yeah,
and
that was a really big thing.
And so I, as soon as that was announced, I had to drop some money on it because not only the fact that like, love you guys, love what you do, but like the fact that I could have someone that's been on my channel for a long time and like have it in my collection, and I have plenty of bands I've had on and they're in my collection as well, and that's a great thing. And I think for me, it's like, this is a centerpiece for me, you know what I mean? Like somebody that I know that has fucking worked their ass off, like you guys work your asses off. And so like for me to own this and to know that A, I love this record, and B, like know that I am helping the homies do what they love to do, I think that's such a great thing. So I'll leave links below if you want to go purchase it. Please go do it. It's well worth it. Can say from front to back, 10 out of 10. Like, if you love progressive metalcore and you haven't listened to this album, this is a must. This is a must listen. So, go
listen
to
it.
Some love. Kind of following up into the next point that I have for you, Dave. You know, we always talk about favorite songs off an album, and as much as they're like your children, it's time and time again, I'm sure there's got to be one that sticks out to you as being like one that's the most memorable to you, or the one that you love the most. Is there any song off this album that you're just like, man, this is goated?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick just one, but I mean, if I had to, I would say Atlas, and I know that seems like a pretty stereotypical thing for bands to do, where they always pick like the last song on the record or the most different one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just to see what Atlas became, and just to know that we were able to use that material and see it come into the light of day and become what it was such an amazing feat. Like the first time I ever heard it played back in the studio, even like before we had it finally mixed, I cried. And then hearing the final mix of it, I cried, because I was like, dude, this is beautiful. Like, this is us. Like, it was like a reality check. You know, I was like, holy shit, man. Like, we were able to make this song something special and unique, and it really is like the positive turning point on the record too. And like conceptually, like right before that, at the end of Obsolete, it lyrically, it kind of goes like right from there into Atlas, which is like the positive turning over, because the majority of the record definitely has a very dark, emotional tone to it lyrically. And then Atlas is just kind of like I
Like
fucking said
side?
it so many times in the past, but yeah, it's like the spiritual rehabilitation, where you're leaving all the negativity behind, and it's taking you into a better place. So like, not only musically does it feel that way, it feels just more like, soothing. Like, you're not getting assaulted with these weird rhythms where people don't know what time signature is, but it's just 4/4 with crazy manipulation. And you know, it's more straightforward. It's tons of atmosphere and melody. And so yeah, I'm really proud of, you know, that song in general, and I'm proud of myself that I was actually able to write a positive song that didn't come off corny.
Fair enough.
Because like, we have a very I don't know if it should be a low or high threshold, but we have a very like hard, like, if something is
cringe.
cheesy.
Yeah, I got you.
So if we think something is even slightly corny or cheesy, we won't use it. And you know, because I don't want other people to hear that and be like, oh god, they did that. Like, or that he actually said that, because we have such a sensitivity to that thing in our band. And sometimes it's almost too much, where I'm like, no, we're letting good stuff fly by here. But yeah, so the fact that I was able to go from just like a negative mindset the whole way, or like a painful mindset, to something more positive, I'm like, hey, good job, you were able to write a happy song, you know. Like, even though it still kind of comes off sad in a way, but yeah, that song is definitely something special for me.
I would agree, and I think it's a great like closeout track. I think I had talked about it in the conversation I had with George, was just like, it just the perfect way to end an album. And I think it just cycles right back into Epitaph at the beginning in such a like unique and beautiful way that I was just like, you know, like I was so stoked. So for me, it was like kind of like that, no pun intended, like a full circle moment, like where everything kind of just like felt at you know, the startup again at an album. And I think that I know a lot of people don't talk about that, but the way that a band can end an album, and then if you can restart it and it just like immediately picks off where it belongs, that to me is like the testament of a good record. Like I got to give you a shout out, because I think I had done it more recently, but Dave was the one who gave me the Seosin self-titled record many moons ago, and that is an album.
Right.
That is an album I love. That is like one of my favorite albums of all time, and I feel like for me personally, that's an album, like if you listen to the last song and then hop back to the first one, it just cycles so well. And I can kind of find that similarity with, you know, Collapse by Design, where you start with Epitaph, you end with Atlas, and then it just recycles again to the beginning, and it's just like the smooth transition, you know. So gotta give you props.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And I forgot about that. I forgot you were the one who took that record off my hands. I remember that.
I did.
Yeah.
I like beat down your door for that shit.
Yeah, because I love that record too. And not to say I was like, I don't need this anymore, but yeah, I was buying like every record on vinyl that I ever liked, and I was like, this is getting too much. I rarely ever listen to these things, and I'm sure there are people out there who want this probably more than I do.
Well,
so I just kind of handed it off to the man here. So I'm glad it went to you.
It went to a gracious home, so you know, I always appreciate that. And then, you know, I returned the favor by, you know, picking up your record, which everybody can go buy below. except for
Right.
mine should get signed. Wink. No, okay.
Bring it to the next show. We got you.
I will. I will. Kind of the next follow up question too. I did see you guys released an instrumental version of this album, which I think is really sick. I know a lot of bands kind of stray away from it, but I get why you guys did it because the technicality is just there, and I think there's some things that, no offense to Josh, love Josh as a vocalist in the band, but there's some stuff that I guess per se could be hidden because it's like, okay, you're listening to the screams, like it's great stuff, Josh, kudos, you know. But there's maybe some nuances and things that you may not have picked out. Was that something you guys had talked about for a while to do, or was that just kind of like, guys, what if we just like release this album but like instrumental?
Yeah, it definitely was talked about in advance for sure. Because you know, being that the style of music that we are, it definitely lends itself to being able to release an instrumental version. And you know, we've done that with Unsound Recollections as well. So this one coming about, I was like, yeah, there's so many like little details that even though it's masterfully mixed
Yeah.
by Randy LaBeouf, so shout out Randy and EQ, the best. But yeah, it doesn't matter how it's mixed or who mixes it, whatever. There's still going to be little details that you won't be able to hear all the time if there's like layers of vocals over it.
Yeah.
And so that was definitely something that we talked about doing. The label was more than down for it. They've done it for Currents. They've done it for quite a few bands. And so it made sense for us to do it as well. And I was glad we got to do that because it also helps people hear things in a different way. There was one like drum moment that it was such a small little detail and I was so excited about it. But with vocals, you can't hear it and you can't even feel it because it's a kick drum thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and it's in the song Tyrant. It's right before like the very final breakdown, like where it goes to the closed hi-hat part.
Yeah.
I do a snare flam and then a kick flam. So it's like, it's like, bra, da, da. But on the record, it just sounds like bra, da, da. Small detail. But when you hear it without vocals, that kicked flam like has some reverb on it. So it's like, and it hits so hard. So I'm like, shit. So you can't hear it as well with vocals on it. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that we were able to release an instrumental for that, so that people could hear even just that moment selfishly. Yeah, but then there's plenty of like little guitar things that you probably wouldn't hear as well. And yeah, so I'm glad that that's out. I'm glad the label's behind it, and you know, it obviously doesn't get as much love as the original record, which honestly I'm happy about because I want people to hear it the way it was intended, but also it gives people another way of hearing the record and like something fresh or a fresh new take on it. So yeah,
I also agree. I think it's also more poignant at the people who are like really dedicated to that like progressive metalcore music where they can pick out little nuanced things that you're like, holy shit, I would have never listened to that. That's so sick. I like that part. Or like guitar wise, you're like, man, there's this really cool guitar part that Chris does, or like a cool bass line that Danny does, and you're like, holy shit, I would have never, like, if you're really dedicated to that type of music and dedicated to your specific instrument, if it's guitar, bass, or drums, like you're going to be able to pick out those like really nuanced things and stuff. Or if you're a vocalist, you know, that's like the perfect opportunity to do like a vocal cover or something, and there you go. It's right. It's all right there for you.
Multi-purpose release. So there you go.
And you know, it was on the same topic too. You guys did play instrumentally very recently on, I think on the previous tour you guys did for a bit. You know, obviously hope Josh is in better health now, certainly, but I know that must have been interesting for you guys because I know the dynamics of having a vocalist versus without it is quite different, certainly. How do you feel like the crowd reception had been? Because I'd imagine, like, as myself, like, I'd probably be disappointed, but like you guys have such a just big sound that I feel like I would have loved to see you play instrumentally as well. Do you feel like the crowd reception was just like on point? I did see some clips and I was like, yo, this fucking sounds sick, you know?
Yeah, like there were a lot of cities that responded really well to it. And you know, I remember specifically like one of my favorite stops on the tour, which I did not expect, was Kent, Ohio. It just when you walked in, it just kind of looked like a pretty average like bar restaurant. You're like, okay, but the crowd came out and went hard. Like I remember thinking that like a guy was like sneaking like side stage or something like that or whatever, but he went off to the side during our set because he was like spitting blood out of his mouth. Someone knocked him in the face so hard during our set. So yeah, so some people, especially Kent, Ohio, know how to get down to an instrumental set, and then other people stand there wiping drool away from their mouth because they don't know what to do with themselves without a vocalist. So I don't care. Some people just, I get it. It's a lot more fun with a vocalist kind of leading the crowd. So I had to take over for that and do like talking and I don't want to say mosh calls, but like cues to let
I
people
got
know
you.
like something's coming. You might want to fucking like not those words exactly, but that was definitely stress inducing at first. But you know, we unfortunately have had to do that in the past a few times. So there's a point where we were used to it. We don't want to represent our band that way because
Sure.
we don't want people thinking we're an instrumental band, but I think we still pulled through and we still did pretty good for ourselves, I'd say. There was only like a few select cities where it was absolutely awful. But the majority was, you know, overwhelmingly positive. So I'm
Yeah.
just glad we were able to finish the tour, you know.
Oh, 100%. And obviously, like, some of the clips that I had saw on your Instagram stories collectively, like, was really tight. Like, I was just like, even without a vocalist, I was just like, God, they're just so fucking tight. It's wild to me. So
Thank you. Thank you.
it was on point. I haven't seen you guys with Josh yet, so I'm hoping that either if I go out to Europe, Brandon's big Europe vacation, we're gonna do that. If not, then I will definitely see you guys in the States. I imagine sometime next year.
For sure.
But the next question I have for you, Dave. I've been asking this one in more current interviews and been having fun with it. With the resurgence of a lot of bands, either getting back together, reforming, like anniversary tours, whatever. Is there any bands that you would love to see get back together that you haven't seen, like collectively, say like, hey, we're back, we're here.
Damn. Uh Damn, nothing comes to mind at the moment, or like no bands that I know that, I mean, I guess it would in my particular like world and in like Sentinels world of like our
Mm-hmm.
music, one band that like comes to mind that I would love to see get back together and do something sick would be Glass Cloud because they dropped off the face of the earth without like an inkling of an explanation, and you know that it definitely sucked to see because they had a pretty quick rise,
They
to
did.
where
Yeah, oh yeah.
they had one record and then an EP, and then they had like a co-headliner tour that was unbelievable. That the last time I saw them was on that tour, and it was uh, Glass Cloud co-headlining with Scale to Summit,
Ooh.
and then it was Monuments, Era, and Reflections, like as the opening support. So that was an amazing tour, and Glass Cloud absolutely crushed it. Even as a three-piece on that tour, it was fucking awesome. And I feel like if they got back together and released some of the stuff that Josh Travis had written and kind of sneaked people previews of on Instagram years ago, I feel like that would have been unbelievable. But then I guess another band, like even though they are back together and they have been back together for years now, but if they did some other sort of anniversary tour, I just saw them at This Is Hardcore Fest not too long ago, but I would love to see Misery Signals play an album in full again, like of Malice and the Magnum Heart, like the hands down like the best metalcore record of all time. If they were to do that again to some capacity and and then play other stuff as well, like because of
Yeah.
course when I saw them at This Is Hardcore, there were so many bands on the bill
Yeah. I'm sure.
that even they got condensed to like a 25-minute set, and when they or it felt like a 20-minute set. They were on and off fast, and they could only play I think 5 songs, and one of those songs was like 2 minutes. So it was like, god damn it, like really upsetting that I waited there all day to watch that band, and then because of the set list that This Is Hardcore, they got fucked. But if I could see them play like a full headliner set, that's obviously a bucket list band for me to see.
Yeah, I would agree. I haven't seen Misery Signals live yet, so I know for my own thing, I would love to like just see them absolutely obliterate my head. So,
Yeah, and I can say that this is just me. I'm not a hardcore fan. I don't know why I was at This Is Hardcore Fest other than to see the three bands I went to see, which were essentially not just straight hardcore. I went to see End, Kublai Khan, and Misery Signals, and in my hardest of opinions, Kublai Khan was fantastic. End was fantastic. Misery Signals was like the best band of the day. Like the music and everything they were doing, it was such a refreshing thing to hear that day because we were kind of getting beat with a lot of similar sounding bands. No offense to any of them. I'm not a hardcore guy. Put me on the fucking cross. I don't care. Torture me. I don't give a shit. Call the cops. I'm not a hardcore guy. Never have been really, but I like things that teeter on the border of hardcore
yeah,
and
yeah,
metal.
yeah.
And all three of those bands absolutely crushed, and Misery Signals was like such a palate cleanser that day. And even if I saw them on a bill, with bands influenced by them or similar to them, they still just have something so special about them, and you can tell
Oh
that
yeah.
they've been playing together for years and years and years. And so they're a very special band. So if anyone watching this is not aware of Misery Signals or has never heard of them or never listened to them, I highly recommend listening to them. Fucking incredible band.
Yeah, I feel like they're a band, and I had an older like hardcore band on recently. They used to have members of like Bane in their band, and so the band's called Quiet Drive. You guys will be seeing an interview with them before Dave's comes out, but I have been recently going back and listening to old bands that like I feel like are influenced by other bands that I love. So like, the originators, I guess, per se. And I feel like Misery Signals is one of those bands that I feel like I've always had this admiration for, I've always loved, but I don't really feel like I've given enough time or, uh homage to what they do as a band. So I will probably be going live and listening to like a ton of Misery Signal albums because I feel like I haven't fully sat down and listened to all of them. So guys, let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do that, because I will certainly do that, because I always like to show love to the bands that helped influence the bands that I love listening to currently now, because I feel like if those bands didn't exist, then there's probably a good chance that the band that I enjoy right now might not have existed. So very cool, and always good to show love to older bands that are still
I'm
doing their
leaving a
shit.
comment right now.
I know
I don't know
Dave
if you can
is
tell.
Dave.
I'm leaving. I've actually posted 4. Oh shit. All right. Listen to Of Malice in the Magnum Heart, and then their other records are phenomenal as well. Controller, and then I would say listen to their new one because it has their original vocalist back on it. So that,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So
nice.
so that one's great. So the first record and their latest record have
The
the
OGs.
OG vocalist.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
All right. I'll have to. Dave, thanks for leaving a comment. Appreciate it. But
Six comments.
6 comments. Okay, great,
Yeah.
awesome. I look forward to 6 comments. But yeah, I'm very excited. They're awesome. And I agree with you on Kublai Khan. I will say they're kind of like my stance on Knock Loose. Like I will say like Laugh Tracks is solid, like all of their other stuff's solid, but it wasn't up until like Kublai Khan released their most current EP and Knock Loose released their most current EP that I was like, fuck, like
Yeah.
these bands are wild. Like why did I not like put enough time or like show enough like homage to these bands, because those two albums are like so good. So good.
Yeah. Knocked Loose's EP, I was the same way, where I'll fully admit I was not into Knock Loose whatsoever when they
Yeah.
first came out. I didn't understand the vocals. I couldn't get behind it at first, and then Laugh Tracks I was like, okay,
We're getting
getting
there.
better. And
Yeah.
then the album after, A Different Shade of Blue, that album sucked me in really hard, and I loved it. And it was on my end of the year list, believe it or not. And then
Wow.
the EP, which was an amazing surprise, that even though it was an EP, I put it at, I think, number 2 of my top 10
Woo.
of the year album list, because I was like, this is better than most albums. And it was unbelievably heavy, twisted, like evil, dark.
Yeah.
I was like, this went out of like the heaviest music. That's what I like. I like things to sound dark and extreme, and that pushed all the boundaries. It was unbelievable. And then Kublai Khan's newest EP, also another favorite of mine. I was like, this is absolutely fantastic. And seeing a lot of those new songs get played live and seeing the crowd scream every single word just shows how hard that EP is and how amazing it is. Because when it's only been out for, say, a month or two, like at the time, like seeing videos of people screaming an entire just vocal part out, like Swan Song specifically.
Yeah. Oof.
Seeing a crowd know all those words and yelling them all out, that is something to be captivated by.
I would agree, guys. It's Knock Loose, Tearing the Fabric of Life, and I believe Kublai Khan's is the lowest form of animal. If I'm not, I think I've got that correct. So
I believe that's correct.
Go check them out, but you should go listen to this fantastic record first, Collapse by Design.
Nah, fuck that thing. Go listen to Knock Loose and Kublai Khan.
Listen, I'll plug the fuck out of this record. This is,
dude.
like,
if people go and listen to Knock Loose's EP and then Kublai Khan's EP, then they get to our gent turd of an album, they're gonna be like, "What are you recommending? I don't trust this guy. I'm unsubscribed.
Sus.
I'm unfollowing."
Sus.
No.
Sus. He's so sus. You know.
No, seriously, listen to it. It's very different from the other two, but yeah, give it a listen, please. I'm begging you.
Give it all a listen. And if you are in Europe, go out and fucking see them, because they're, again, I've had the pleasure of seeing them on multiple iterations, but I'd argue this might be the best iteration. So go give Sentinel some love. Have to ask this as well, Dave. I know I've asked you this in the past, and I always love rehashing this question, but what are you listening to currently? What's on your Spotify? What have you been listening to recently?
You know, let me take a look, because it's been kind of a mixed thing. I work from home, and I usually will just put on I'll put on my liked songs playlist, and whatever kind of comes up
You'll just listen
is what
to.
I'm digging. I'll just skip through the whole time. I'm back on my Counterparts obsession. They're one of my favorite bands of all time.
New album.
Yeah, their new album. It comes out Friday, but I got it in the mail today for my pre-order. A eulogy for those still here. I'm saying it right now to any Counterparts, like diehards in listening to this right now. It is hands down their best piece of work to this day. It's crazy. I say it every time that they always top themselves with every album, but this one is definitively their best work.
Wow.
I was feeling things when listening to this album.
All right.
New Varial stuff that's come out. Their new song Circles. Unpopular opinion, according to all the fucking tough guys out there of the world. Their new song Circles is amazing. I know it's a lot of clean singing and good hooks, but I love that shit. I don't care what band it is. If you put out a song that sounds like this and has a hook like that well written, it's for me. So shout out to Varials. I'm seeing them on Friday. Very stoked about that.
Flow Omen too.
Obviously, yes.
The boys.
Obviously, new Lorna Shore. Some of the greatest people on the planet, and one of my favorite bands for sure. Their new stuff is amazing. Their new album Pain Remains comes out not this Friday, but next Friday. Pre-order, pre-save that shit. It's incredible. But yeah, other than that, it's a lot of mixed stuff. Oh, I've been obsessed with Thornhill's new album Heroin.
Yes. Oh,
that's probably in my top 3 at the end of the year. Not even kidding. It's a flawless record, I think, and it was a brave record for that band to make, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I mean, other than that, a lot of, there's just a lot of random stuff in here. Like, fuck, it's pretty random, but I mean, it's also because I went back and liked a whole bunch of records that have been out for a while, but
fair enough. Yeah,
I didn't save them. But that newest Dayseeker single that dropped a little bit ago, Without Me, that one was really good, and that was a band I'd never really listened to much. Yeah, that was a fantastic song. And then I just got around to listening to the new Darko album that came out, Oni. Ooh. That one's really good. Shout out to my boy Josh. Love that man so much. He's a fucking genius when it comes to this stuff. He's incredible. Wild. Yeah, Wild Boy for sure.
Wild Boy. And I will
Yeah.
say, as also a resident Sleep Token fanboy, I also gotta give you I gotta give you much love, because I don't know if it was you or there was a handful of other friends of mine that, oh shit, all right, there we go, my guy.
Yeah.
A handful of other people that had mentioned Sleep Token on the first album, which I did buy Sundowning, and it's in my collection, so I was like,
Yeah.
secured the bag. But
That's another band also in my constant rotation. I should name, but I feel like I make it so so incredibly obvious to people. But yeah, Sleep Token's in my constant rotation as well. One of
but
the
I
best bands I've ever come across.
I gotta give you a lot of credit, because I'm pretty sure you're the one who turned me on to this band, and you're like, yo, you gotta check these guys out.
Yes.
And I was like, who is this fucking what is this mass singer bullshit thing going on? I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, whatever, right? And I think it was what the fuck's the first song I listened to off Sundowning? It was
The
like
Offering, probably.
no, it was The Night Belongs
Oh,
to
The Night
Us.
Belongs to God, or The
Night
Night Does
Belongs
Not Belong to God. Yeah.
Something we got. We'll put the text is up here on the screen. But that song, I was like, yo, well, who is this guy, right? And then so I like went down the rabbit hole, and I was like, there's nothing about this dude, like he's this enigma, right? And I was like, but his voice is so good, and I got massively hooked on that band. And then I listened to the newest one, This Place Will Become Your Tomb, and that one's also great too. I probably will get a lot of hate for it. I still think Sundowning's the better of the two, certainly, and I've put a lot of time into both albums, certainly. But I think Sundowning has like just like a little sprinkle more of heavy, and I like that.
I think not even just for the heavy aspect. I think the majority of the Sleep Token fan base would agree with you there. Not that people listen to This Place Will Become Your Tomb and go like, ugh. But there's a lot of those people out there, I guess, like a lot of more casual listeners, because I've come to know some Sleep Token fans, and they are weird. They are very, very obsessive. I love the band too. I love the band too. I know just as much about them as any of them as well, but some of them get pretty weird about it. But yeah, a lot of them tend to agree that that Sundowning is like their masterpiece, and
Rightfully
I think
so.
This Place Will Become Your Tomb is like another continuation of it. And honestly, if the next record it sounds like either one of those, then that's cool. Like, they do this thing, and they do it very well, where they are a genre fluid band, and they don't constrict themselves to just one sound. They have a bunch of different elements that come into play, and they do it masterfully. And I just saw them live too, and they are unbelievable.
Ooh,
Very good. I wish that they were headlining. I know that's not how it works all the time, especially in the States. Like, they've only been here one time before.
Yeah, with issues,
yeah. And I wish I had known about them at the time, because I would have been there. But seeing them this, like 2 weeks ago was phenomenal. They're an incredible band, and yeah, they have something mysterious about them. And I think it's, unfortunately, I'll say this, like, some dickhead on the internet did unsolicitedly reveal their identities to me, and I didn't want to know, because he thought that I was just so obsessed with the band that I had to know who they were. And I was like, wow, thanks for ruining the mystique of it all. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not what they want people doing. That's exactly what they don't want people doing.
100%. That's why they're wearing a mask.
Their whole thing is that they want the music to speak for itself. And yes, they have this image that, people will be like, oh, well, if they don't care about image, then they wouldn't do this, which I've heard all the arguments and stuff. It's like, yeah, but the image is what draws you into wanting to learn more, and it kind of makes you obsessed and makes you want, and like, you become so obsessed with this concept that you end up becoming part of like the worship that they tag everything with, which is, cool. And I respect it, because they've obviously succeeded. They're getting a lot of coverage. They're getting very massive tours. They're bringing out bands that we think are pretty massive in the scene like to open for them now, which is fucking awesome. Like, when they tour over, they just announced I think they're touring Europe, and Northlane is opening for them.
Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah, so they're doing it big, man. They're great, and they clearly are all incredible at their instruments. The guy has one of the best voices I've ever heard,
I would agree.
and they're a great introductory band into heavy music. I think
I would
that's what I
also
think is
agree.
so
Yeah.
special. Yeah, I became hooked on that band overnight. Not even
Yes.
kidding. So amazing band. Go listen to Sleep Token if you haven't.
I would agree, and I'm gonna do everything I can to get a Sleep Token Sentinels tour because I'm just fiending for just a beautiful time. I'll make sure to bring extra pants, extra underwear, extra me's. Because I am gonna just be absolutely eviscerated. I'm gonna be blown away by the technicality of Sentinels, and then I'm gonna be blown away by the voice of Sleep
Yeah.
Token and the band collectively.
Hopefully, if they ever hear of us, they think we're cool enough to bring out one day. Who knows? I do love those guys a lot. They're great.
There we go. Well, again, Dave, thanks for the Rex. Always love it. And I much appreciate the Sleep Token love because otherwise
Of
wouldn't have found
course,
out. So Sleep Token, if you're watching this, come on the channel. Would love to have you on.
that's what I'm here for.
The next question I have for you, Dave, what do you want people to take away from your band and more specifically this beautiful record, Collapse by Design? Because I feel like with artists that I've had on recently, I always love talking about this because I think music is something that has affected my life in the most positive ways that I could possibly imagine. I've met some of my closest friends, through this, and I think the lyrical depth of what a lot of bands are doing right now has just been chef's kiss. What do you want people to understand about you guys and what you do? Because I think you guys have a unique way of including some great like lyrical content, but then also have like stuff that just like when you hear like Josh fucking screaming those lyrics, it just hits.
I mean, I guess like when people listen to Collapse specifically, I just want people to know that it was written from a very vulnerable place,
Mm-hmm.
and there is nothing but realness and relativity. I guess I don't know if that's the right word in the words, because everything that I wrote on that record lyrically is 100% authentic and from personal experience, and I felt like that was something that lacked with the band heavily in the past, was a way of connecting like the music to listeners other than just instrumentally, and sometimes that's really the majority of the time not enough. So I knew that the music was so good to us that I needed the lyrics and the vocals to play a more important part on this, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to speak something that was true and organic, and I didn't want to do a whole bunch of nonsense words that just came to mind. Like, it took me 3 months to write the lyrics for this record
Wow.
because it luckily I'll say that when it came to writing this album, COVID kind of was like a blessing and a curse in terms of
Sure.
the extra time it gave us to perfect it. So I there was a lot of hard work and put into this, and we really took the extra time to make it perfect and what it was. And musically, I just hope people understand that we're not trying to be anybody but ourselves, even though we sound like an amalgam of all of our influences for sure.
Sure.
But we're trying to do something special, and we're trying to do something unique, or fill a void for people that isn't being fulfilled right now with certain bands that we look up to that may be disbanded or haven't recorded an album in years, and that we want to be that band for people that where they listen to us and they think like no other band scratches this itch, and when they come to see us live, they will get a good experience out of it, that we don't try to we try to be a fun band to see live, and we try to make sure that everyone has a good time. And we want to try to do something different, even though it is nearly 2023 and almost everything kind of has been done at this point when you think about it. I mean, we're very far into existence, and when it comes to music, especially, a lot of stuff has been done. So we just try to make music that is authentic to us and is true to ourselves, and um, deliver that live in a way that, that kind of informs that to people, and that we're here to make a statement in a way,
Yeah, no, certainly. And I think for me, it was, I went and as soon as I got this record, I was like, I should listen, I should pull out the lyric thing, even though it's like, again, making a comment on how fucking beat up this shit is. Um, but I went and like read the lyrics because, very rarely, like I'm sitting down listening to this. I'm usually just like sitting at my computer desk editing or whatever. But this was one of the very, very rare occasions where I had just moved in and I didn't really have much. I was just like kind of just doing my shit. And I remember sitting in this chair and I put this record on to my record player and I was listening through to it and I was reading some of the lyrics and I was just like, shit, wow. Like I'm curious if Josh wrote these lyrics or Dave, because I know you do vocals in the band. And I was like, man, these are some really good lyrics. I was like, I should probably message Dave and be like, yo, these lyrics were great. Like, and I think that, it goes back to a former point that I've made before, which is just that, how profound music can be on someone's life, and I think for me, it was like at the time where I was going through a lot of shit. This helped me out, a lot. And so, I got to give a lot of love to this album because not only is it like, a great gym record, but I think like when you look at it from the surface of like, this is someone who went through some shit and, put their heart into this, right? And so for me, it's like a good indicator that like bands put so much fucking time into what they do, and they, whether it's something that they want you to take out lyrically, like they want you to kind of be like, this is how I want you to feel about this song, or they leave it up to interpretation and allow you to experience it for yourself. I feel that this album does a great job of not only kind of leading you in a certain way, but also at the same point, like allowing you to make your own decisions on how you feel like these lyrics will affect you, right? And so I got to give a lot of props to this album. I know I keep joking about the beat upness of this album, but it really, it really has stood the test of time thus far. And, I spend this as much and as often as I can, especially more so at the gym, because I'm not going to bring my vinyl player to the gym and set it up, and that I would look like a.
I just imagine you lifting, being like, "Come on, stop this deadlift."
I gotta flip. I gotta flip the side B. Okay, let's go. The lunk alarm's going off while that's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really feel like what you guys had done in this album. And this is going to probably sound like me just pandering, but it really is like objectively, like I've listened to World Divide and I loved that record, and, Unsound Recollections, I love that record. I did a review of it. If you want to check it out, go do that. And I didn't review this one because I took a hiatus, but this was one of my favorites, top 5 of last year. And, for me, for the amount of music that I listen to and the amount of time that I dedicate to doing this, for me to say, like, if this goes beyond like a week or a month, like that's to me, that's an album I feel like can stand the test of time in terms of replayability, but also like stuff that I get out of it. And so I got to give a lot of props to Collapse by Design, because it is just a gorgeous album from front to back. And so, Dave, I appreciate you for coming back on and talking about it as well, certainly. But I'm going to leave the floor to you. The most important thing, tell the people where they can find you at on social media, what you guys have coming up. If you want to tell them where they can pick merch up to support you guys, as well as, if they want to not buy a shitty, fucked up version of the newest album, Collapse by Design. Shoutouts to that mailman.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just an issue with that mailman. Go buy that record. I can almost assure you it probably won't happen all the time. That mailman can get fucked. Whatever. But yeah.
He must not be a Sentinels fan. That's what I think I realized.
Clearly not. He could smell the gent on it. But yeah, if you, first off, thank you for everything you said on that. That really means a lot. And I'm glad that it's speaking to people like you and others and doing exactly what we set out to do with it. So really, it means a lot to me and the rest of the guys. So thank you for that, and thank you for giving the extra time to plug it throughout this. But yeah, our album Collapse by Design is out through Sharptone Records. You can get the vinyl or CD on their website, sharptonerex.com.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Or you could just Google Sharptone Records and it'll come up. They got a store on there. Other than that, I mean, you can catch us on tour if you're in Europe and watching this. In the UK, we'll be over there next year from February 23rd to sometime in March. So yeah, February to March, we'll be over there with Era, Silent Planet, and Invent Animate. It's going to be an incredible tour. And if you live over there and you're watching this, what are you doing? Why aren't you buying tickets?
Don't
be a goof. Don't be a goofy motherfucker. Go
Links
buy
in the
tickets. I
descriptions.
promise. We're a lot cooler to talk to in person than I'm coming off right now. But I promise. Other than that, if you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us at Sentinels NJ. So it's like Sentinels New Jersey, Sentinels NJ on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a TikTok. Rarely get to post stuff on there, but you know, we'll try to get better at it. So yeah, if you want to follow me on my social media, Instagram is just Dave Sentinels, and then if you want to follow me on TikTok, it's Dave.Sentinels. So let's get in touch, have a dialogue, and we'll have some fun.
There we go. Well, again, massive shout outs to Sharptone. I will agree with Dave. They've got just the finger on the pulse. They've got some really great bands on that label. So please go show arguably one of the better bands, if not one of my favorite bands, wink wink, on the channel, Sentinels. They have a new album out called Collapse by Design. You can go pick it up in the links below. Go follow them on social media. If you live in Europe, don't be a fucking idiot. Go to that tour because if I'm going to go from the United States to Europe to go see this show, then you best be damned that is a fucking sick tour. So please go do it. Anything can help this band. So please, if you can go purchase the album, go do it. Again, you want a sexy vinyl like this. Look at this.
You sexy. Do. And you know what? Guarantee you we're not going to press that version again, so go pick it up. Go make it special for yourself. Only 500 made in existence, so
yeah,
go get that bone with blue splatter, so maybe we can make some special ones for you guys again in the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
But sell that shit out.
Yeah, and then also...
Stop making us look like losers, still having copies up on the internet. Go buy the goddamn record.
Go buy that shit. Also, the fact that you could be along with me and have one of 500 copies, which is fucking sick. So go do it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Owning vinyl is a debt, but it's great though. So can confirm. But
pretty sick debt.
Pretty sick debt. A very colorful debt, if you some might say. But anyway, please go check out Sentinels. Links below in the description. If you can go follow them on social media, please go do it. They're awesome. Arguably such a talented people. And also Dave's been posting on the Sharptone page some live drum playthroughs. And if you've ever wanted to get your face melted, bro, go do it.
Go tell me I'm crap.
Type it out.
Go tell me I'm crap, and all I do is follow the genting. So yeah, go check it out. We got playthroughs for Inertia, Comfort and Familiar Pain, and Obsolete on the Sharptone Records YouTube channel. Cannot believe I've been waiting to get those out forever, and I did not plug them. Drum playthroughs from all corners. Go watch them. I swear to God.
Go do it, please. I'll leave links below to go watch them. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also, new thing here as well. All of these episodes are going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. So you can listen to it anywhere at any time, because I literally got murdered for not having these up on the internet online for audio only. So now there's no complaining that you can't watch my interviews, because I know who you are and you can listen to them now. So you're welcome. So go do that.
Yeah. Let us in your ear holes in all
Yeah.
platforms.
I need you to crank
Yes.
that shit up in your car, and then I need you to give me like 5 stars on Spotify or like however they rate shit. Do that. That'd be great
Yeah.
because I need to
Go
get
rate and
to.
review and follow this man's podcast. He's a good guy. He deserves your support, and he
Aw.
cares about what he's doing. So all you fucking haters or whoever's too lazy, go smash those buttons. Follow, subscribe, rate, review. I swear, I will come for you. I'm right behind you, actually. If you're
Yeah,
not
he's
gonna
you. If
follow.
you turn around, don't turn around because you're.
If you don't
you're
follow,
done.
I'll follow you.
Yeah.
I swear,
Same.
I'm right
I'll
behind
follow
you.
you too. So Dave and I will both follow you if you do not. If you don't do this shit right now. But seriously,
Yeah, this is treading on dangerous territory.
yeah,
we should
we
probably
could
call
get
this
canceled.
quit.
and
I'm a menace.
the last thing, the most important thing as well, along with plugging, we might as well talk about it. Merch, OnlyBans, respect the drip, guys. All right, go check it out, please. Links also in the description for that if you want to pick up merch. Again, if you pick up merch, love you to death. May have a special audio addiction item that I can tell you about in the next couple days. So it might already be out by the time this comes out. So just saying, special item that will be out. It'll be on social media, so make sure to give me a follow. But huge thanks to Dave. Please, if you can and you live in Europe, because I have a lot of friends that live in Europe, go see this man. Go see Sentinels. One of the best live bands you'll see. 100%, no cap. They're fucking fire. So please go give them some love. And again, huge shout outs to Dave for coming on. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's always great.